Okay, 17.4. Now remember, these 5 lessons that we're doing, 16 through 20, they are all about formatting our text, formatting our pictures. Last Friday, we learned how to put borders around our pictures, change the width of those borders, change the color of those borders. So the last thing we did, 17.3, was we got introduced to margins, okay? How to control the margins around our objects. So on 17.4, we're going to learn again how to do a little bit more with margins, but this one is that shorthand, you know, font. We had like font size and font family. I can't remember the font style. We learned how to kind of merge all of those together into using shorthand property. Well, margin has the same ability. You can write shorthand using margin. It says, as with font and border, we can write margin properties in shorthand using just the keyword or the property margin. There's several ways to use the margin shorthand. Here's 2 of them. There's actually a third way we'll learn at some point a little bit later. But the first one is, let's say that I've got a object and I want to set all 4 margins the same. I could just use the keyword margin and then put in the number of the pixels, and that would set the top, the right, the bottom, and the left margin to 12 pixels. Okay, so really, really short. Now, if I wanted to set all 4 of them, if I wanted to do margin top to one number, margin right to its other number, margin bottom, and margin left, then I would list out all 4 of those numbers out beside of the keyword margin. Okay, I would have 4 properties instead of just 1. Okay. And just remember that when you're setting the margin of something, the margin is the space on the outside of something. You start with top, right, bottom, left. And that's the order that you list those values in your shortcut. Okay. All right. So here it says for this task, we're going to use the margin shorthand property to set number 1. We're going to set all 4 margins of the paragraph to 10 pixels. So remember, if they're all the same number, then we can do this little shortcut right here. Okay. So I don't know if can we click on it to copy it? Yeah, I think it did. Okay. So I'm going to go to my CSS rule for paragraphs. Okay. So there's my paragraph. So right now I've got margin top 14 pixels and margin bottom 10 pixels, but they want us to set all 4 to 10 pixels. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this top one. And since I already have margin bottom set to 10 pixel, I'm just going to go and take off the word bottom so that I have margin 10 pixels. And that's the shortcut for setting the margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left to 10 pixels. Okay, so those of you that are doing this with me, go to your paragraph rule. Okay, you'll have P as a selector. It'll be red. We had 2 lines of code in there. You can either completely delete them and retype this, or you can kind of do like I did and kind of delete and edit. Okay, so you only need 1 line of code to set all 4 margins of our paragraph. So now if you kind of go over there and look at the paragraphs, I can't remember what the 2 were before. I think it was margin top and margin bottom. Now you should see a 10 pixel margin on the right and the left as well of your paragraphs. So your phone display should look different. And when I have my panel zoomed in like this, I can't go over there and see my phone without moving my whole screen. Okay, and I'm just going to choose not to do it. But you should see the changes on your phone display when you add it. Now, is there anybody that needs that another second before we move on? Okay, all right, I'll wait. I saw some hands up. Okay, so again, find your P selector, and you probably had 2 lines of code for that paragraph rule. You just need one rule, and it should say margin, colon, space, 10px for pixels, and then that semicolon. Kamala, did that work? No, don't check it because we're not through. But did you get that line of code in there? See how you've got both of these lines? Just get rid of both of those lines and make it say just margin colon 10 pixels. Yeah, you can get rid of these. Just get rid of both of those. Okay. Oh, goodness. Right? Okay. So as I said, you probably had 2 lines of code there. Get rid of the 2 lines of code and just have 1 line of code. I think some of you that it confused you the way that I did mine. I didn't mean to confuse you. Next time I'll just get rid of all the lines of code and we'll just do it from there. Okay. You get that typed in, Kamala? Okay. All right, so let's look at number 2. Number 2 says set all 4 H1 margins to 10 pixels. Okay, now we just did that with our paragraph. So all we need to do is copy that line of code and go and set that for our H1. Make sense? I forget, I can't click around and move around with my screen all zoomed in. So I'm going to go and copy that margin colon 10 pixels. I'm going to Control C, or you can right click and copy it. And then I got to go find my H1 because that's what my number 2 instruction says here. All 4 H1 margins to 10 pixels. So I copy that. I'm going to go find my H1. So here's my H1 here. Now H1, let me make this larger. So if I look at my rule for H1, we're going to do really similar to what we did a while ago. It's got margin top 2 pixels, margin bottom 0 pixels. Remember, if it's 0 pixels, you don't have to put the PX. Delete those 2 lines of code. And then paste in that margin 10 pixels. So you have 2 lines of code there in your H1. Delete them. Select them and hit delete or backspace them, however you want to do it. Get rid of those 2 lines of code and replace it with margin and 10 pixels. Now this one's easy because we're setting all 4, the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. We're setting all 4 of them with the with the same number. I think on the other ones that we're going to do, it's not going to be quite that easy. We're going to have to set margin top 1 number, margin right another number for margin bottom, and another one for margin left. But we can still use the shortcut just using the word margin. Does anybody need another second on that? Everybody good? Good? Everybody good? Yes, no, you're not? Okay. Are you still typing it? Okay. Try to use copy and paste because I didn't retype mine. I just copied the margin and 10 pixels from my paragraph rule. And I went up to my H1, deleted the 2 lines of code, and added in there. And let me say something too. If you guys are listening to music and you're doing this with me, how about just turn the music off for a while? Okay, that way you only hear what I'm saying. Because I know it's nice to listen to music while you're working on a project. That's fine. But if you're listening to my voice, it's really hard to hear everything that I'm saying if you're also listening to music. One's going to win, either the music or my voice, and it's probably going to be the music. So that's going to win. because you're listening to it and probably singing along in your head or whatever. But if you're doing this with me, I'm going to ask if you'll please just remove your earbuds so that I have all of your attention. All right, Kamala, you good now? Okay. All right, so let's look at number 3. All right, number 3 says the bottom set the bottom H3 margin to 8 pixels, the top, left, and right margins to 10. Okay, so we got to think about that for a little bit. It wants the bottom to be 8, but the top, left, and right, and I don't know why they word it that way. I mean, why not keep it going clockwise? But anyway, top, left, and right are 10 pixels, bottom is 8 pixels. So you got to remember the order. So it should be 10, 10, 8, 10. Does that make sense? Because you're going to do top, right, bottom, left. 10, 10, 8, 10. Okay, so let's do that. So let's go to H3. So here's my H3. Whoops, I passed it. There's my H3. Get to the top. All right. Now I have something here that says margin top equals 0. So get rid of the margin top under your H3. So just select it with your mouse. One little swipe. Press delete. It's gone. All right. So we're going to type margin colon space. Now we're going to put 4 values here. Top, right, bottom, left. All right, so top is what? 10. So there's my 10 pixels. Space. Right, 10 pixels. Space. Bottom, 8. 8 pixels. Space. And then left, 10 pixels. Does that make sense? And then we got to put our semicolon at the end. Does that make sense where I got all those numbers from? Because it said make the bottom margin be 8 pixels and all the other 3, 10 pixels. The reason that the 8 pixels is in that third spot here is because this 10 is top, right, bottom, left. Okay, they have to be in that order when you're using the margin shortcut. Any questions about that? Some of y'all are still typing, so I'm going to wait. But this is the line of code right here, line 30. All right, y'all good? All right. Okay, number 4. We've done 1, 2, and 3. So number 4, those of you that are just coming back from ATC, we started on 17.4. We are still on 17.4. Thank you. We're on number 4 of, 17.4. Okay, so number 4, this is for the image. It says the image margins, we're going to set the top 10 pixels, the right 20 pixels, the bottom 10 pixels, left 0 pixels. Okay, so we're going to go into the IMG rule. So let's find the IMG rule here. Here's the IMG rule. Mine's line 38. Yours might not be 38. Now we've got 2 margins that we previously set. Let me make this a little bit larger. Y'all might have to help me with the numbers. Pull over there. Okay, so find your IMG rule. You have 2 lines of code that you need to delete. Now make sure you delete these lines of code because they will overrule each other if you leave both of them in there. Okay, so make sure you get rid of the margin top and the margin bottom. All right, so I'm at my IMG rule. I've gotten rid of both lines of code that said margin top, margin bottom. I think that's what it said. So I'm going to type in just margin, colon, space. Let me look real quick what they were again. So 10, 20, 10, 0. I think I can remember that. Okay. So those of you doing this with me, make sure you have margin and a colon and a space. We're going to do 10 pixels, space, 20 pixels, space, 10, pixels, space, and then 0. We don't need to put the PX for the 0. Okay. Make that large for you. So again, we're on our image rule, the IMG. We got rid of the 2 lines that had margin top, margin bottom, or whatever else it had, and we replaced it with our shorthand. So we only have to use the word margin. 10 pixels for top, 20 pixels for right, 10 pixels for bottom, and 0 pixels for left. And somebody look behind me and make sure that I did that right, because I was trying to do it as memory. Let's see, where is it at? Top 10, right 20, yeah. Yeah, so it should be 10, 20, 10, 0. Thank you. Are you doing this with us? No? Yeah. Have you already done 16? I was just trying to wait and let you get caught up. Okay. 17.4. Are you past that? No, okay. Well, we just finished it, but I'll go back and show you what we did. Okay. I was gonna say, I don't know if Carlos is doing it, if you can look at his. All right, so the first one was all 4 paragraph margins to 10 pixels. McKinley, we went to our paragraph. You probably had a couple of lines of code that said margin something. We just replaced it with margin 10 pixels. Yeah, no margin top, no margin bottom. That was the first one we did. The second one was the H1. So go to your H1 rule. Thanks, Alan. So your H1, you got rid of anything that it had margin top, margin bottom, and just put the margin 10 pixels again. All right, then we did our H3. And if you've got margin top, margin bottom, anything like that, get rid of that. And you just got one line of code that says margin, 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 8 pixels, 10 pixels. That one's a little bit longer. That's one that the 4 sides are all different. If all the sides are the same number, you just get to put one number. But if they're all 4 different, you have to put all 4. Okay. So 10, 10, 8, 10. All right, and then the last one was, what did we do, y'all? Image. Yeah, the last one we did was the image. Whoops. Image is 10, 20, 10, 0. Right there. And we're not going to do the optional one. While you guys have been waiting, if you wanted to do the optional, you can. I'm just not going to, just for time's sake. Are you good? All right. Thank you guys for being patient. I just want to give McKinley a chance to get to where we were. Okay, so now I'm going to go and check that. And it probably said it was correct, but I didn't have my screen small enough that I could see it. Yeah. All right, did everybody get marked correct? No, yours should not. Your H3. Let's double check your numbers again. Make sure you've got margin colon. Make sure you've got 10, 10, 8, 10. Semicolon at the very end. Colon after margin, semicolon after the 10 pixels. Now it's good. All right, yay. All right, so now we're ready to move on to 17.8. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to center align something using the margin. If you use the value, the property value auto, and you set the margin to auto, it will center align something. So like if you've got an image that you want to center align, if you've got a heading that you want to center align, you just use margin auto and it will center, you can center your page, anything you want to, okay? All right, so we're going to use it with the body element. Now, do we have a body element? We've got HTML, but we don't have a body. It says below the CSS rule for HTML, add a CSS rule for body. Now, it's telling us to put it below the HTML. Now, that is not alphabetical order, but we're going to do it. We're going to do exactly what it says. So I'm going to go under my HTML, and I'm going to add a new rule for body. Okay. So there's my rule for body. I'm going to do my open curly brace. Whoops, I left out the space. Let's do a space first. Open curly brace, press enter twice, back it up, and do our closing curly brace. Okay, I'll make that a little bit larger for you. Now it said go right up under the HTML. So even though that's not alphabetical order, I'm going to do exactly what Code Avenger said to do. So it said after the HTML rule, do the body. It's probably because these are so similar. The HTML just includes the title of the website. The body is just what you see on the page. Okay, McKinley, you still with me? Okay. All right, so it says below the CSS rule for the HTML, add a CSS rule for the body element. We did that one. Set the width of the body to 240 pixels. This will make it easy to see what we're going to do on the next step. So we're going to change the body to 200, and I'm sorry, we're going to set the width of the body to 240 pixels. Okay, so let's go over here. Can we just use width? Let's see. Let me go look at this real quick. Body. That doesn't show a CSS rule. I just want to make sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm. Usually width, we use width as an attribute. But here we can use width as a property. So width and 240 pixels. Now, be ready for your phone to change, okay? Because we are changing the width of the body to 240 pixels. So I think as soon as I put in this key X, I think it's going to happen. Yeah, it does look weird. Okay. So it made the body of my web page be just 240 pixels wide because it wants you to see how if you center align something, if you center align the body, how it's going to put it right in the middle. I think the reason it wanted to make the body width so slim because the way it was before, if we center align the body, you probably wouldn't see much of a difference. Okay, you would have just a couple of pixels on the left and a couple of pixels on the right. But if we make the width really slim, then when we center align it, you're going to see a big difference. Okay, all right. So that's number 2. We did number 2. Now it says now set the body margins to 0 auto 0 auto. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and because I'm still in the body rule. And I'm going to do margin, and I'm going to do 0, auto, 0, auto, and then a semicolon. Okay, let me make that large so you guys can see that in the back. Okay. So I'm in my body rule. I made the width very slim, very narrow, so that now when I set the margins to center, now we're still, this is the top, this is the right, this is the bottom, this is the left. So what you should see, let me go over here to my phone. Okay. Now you see all of this space on the left, all of this space on the right, because it's center aligned it, but the top is still at 0. If I put auto there, I'm not exactly sure what it would actually even look like. Probably no change. But anyway, that's how you can center line the body. Now you can do the same thing to an image, to a heading, to a paragraph, but we did it just to kind of experiment and for you guys to see what it looks like. We did it on the whole body of the web page. Okay. All right, now number 4 says set the width of the body to 400 pixels. So that's going to spread it out. Now it's not going to be a super slim body of elements. It's going to be more, instead of 240, it's going to be 400. So go up to the line of code where you've got 240 pixels. Get rid of the 240. Add it to 400. And now, okay, it's center aligned. It's still center aligned the body, but it's not super, super narrow. Okay. And that's all you had to do for 17.5. Any questions about that? I think that was the last one. Wasn't that the last one? Yes. All right. So let me check mine. Because if you always let me check mine first, that way if there's a problem, if it's wrong, I'm going to lose the points, not you. So that's kind of another incentive for you guys to do this with me. Okay. Because you'll make 100% of the points. Okay. So we're going to hit next. Everybody that's doing this with me, we're ready to go on, right? Okay. I see the heads nodding. Okay, 18.1. Okay, here we're going to start getting fancy with some shadowing. You can shadow text. You can shadow images, the borders of images. I'm trying to think what else. That's probably your headings. You can put shadows around the text of your headings. So we're just, like I say, we're just playing with format, getting a little more fancy with every new element that you learn how to use, or property that you know how to use. All right, so in this lesson, you'll add shadows to your images and to your headings. Box shadows work with the latest versions of all 5 popular web browsers. Okay, so we can use that same bit of code. We don't have to change anything if we're doing it on Chrome or if we're doing it on Edge or Mozilla, Firefox, or anything else like that. Okay. In the CSS rule for the image tag, add the code box shadow. Now it gives us the numbers here, but it doesn't, I'm surprised that in the lesson here, it doesn't tell you what those numbers stand for. You have to go down here to the tips. Down here, it says the first number moves the shadow either left or right, whether it's positive or negative. All right, if it's a positive, you've got shadow to the right. If it's negative, you got shadow to the left. The second number moves the shadow up and down. If it's positive, I'm pretty sure it moves it down. We're going to see in a minute. We're going to do a whole bunch of examples. If it's positive, that second number is positive. It's on the bottom. If it's negative, it's on the top. So we'll play around with that and we'll make sure that I'm telling you right. If not, I will correct that. All right, so it says in the CSS rule for the image tag, add the code box shadow 5 pixels, 15 pixels. So let's click on that and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to go in the CSS rule for the image tag. So I got to go find my image. Box shadow comes after border. So I'm going to try to keep mine in alphabetical order. All right. Yes, I was right. So positive is to the right. Negative is to the left for this first number. See, I've got 5 pixels. So now you'll see 5 pixels doesn't look very, very large. But you see that shadowing over there on the right of the image? That's because we did a positive 5. If we had done negative 5, then that coloring there is going to be over here on the left of our image, okay? The second number that we use for our box shadow is 15, all right? So that 15 pixels, notice that it's a lot larger because 15 is a lot larger than 5. So the 15 pixels is below the image. Now let me tell all of you, everybody, even those of you that are not doing this with me, make sure you understand these numbers and what you're going to get when you use the numbers, whether it's positive or negative, okay? Whether it's the first number, second number, because there is a quiz that you guys will take, and it gives you a bunch of examples, and it's like, okay, what line of code is used to create the box shadow example 1? And then what line of code is used to get this example using the box shadow? So make sure that you understand, because if not, I mean, you can always come back to the lesson and review it, but make sure you understand that this number here, this first number on the box shadow, is the coloring that you're going to get to the right of the image. This second number is what you're going to get either below or top, depending on whether it's positive or negative. Okay, so everybody got number 1? Now, they want us to change it because they want you to see the difference with the numbers. So numbers 2 says, in the box shadow code, change the 5 to -5 and the 15 to -15. All right, I think I'm going to try to get this to where we can see both of them at the same time. Okay, so that's what it looks like with positive numbers. So let's go put a negative in front of this 5 and a negative. So see how now that color is switched to the left, the box is to the left. And if I do -15, it should move it from the bottom to the top. So if I put in a negative right there, ta-da, it switches it. So now my box shadow is to the left in the top when they're negative numbers. When they were positive numbers, they're to the right in the bottom. Make sure you understand how all that works, because there is a quiz and you have quite a few questions like that that you have to solve. Okay. All right, let's see what number 3. Change both numbers to 4 pixels. Okay, so now that we've solved what the negative numbers, we're going to change them back both to 4. I actually think the shadowing looks better when they are smaller numbers. So I kind of like the 4 pixels a lot better than that one being 15 pixels. So that way you just have a slight, just a minimal amount of box shadowing shown there. I think that looks better. I like the 4 pixels better than the 5 and 15. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. If you're doing it with me, you should now be able to check yours, and it should say that it's correct. But I can't see mine. Let's try it again. Make sure. Yep. Okay. That's 18.1. Those of you doing this with me, everybody good? Okay, I feel like I've lost some people along the way because some of you don't seem like you're back staring at your keyboard, and usually, I mean, your laptop. Usually, when you're doing that, you then switch. You're watching a movie, playing a game, doing something. You're not coding anymore. Again, I encourage you to please do this with me, so that when I finish, and we'll probably finish tomorrow, I'm thinking, you'll be finished as well. Okay. All right, so we're all ready to move to 18.2. Okay, changing the box shadow color, because we've learned now how to add the box shadow there. What if we want to make it a different color? Because it defaults to black. But I can change the color by adding a third value in my property value. And the third one is just whatever color you want it to be. So we only have one. It says set the color of your image shadow to any color you like. I'm assuming any color but black. Okay. So I'm going to, let's see, what would probably look good with that? I'm going to try like a gray. So I'm going to go on my box shadow after my 4 pixels, space 4 pixels. I'm going to do space, and I don't know if they spell it G-R-E-Y or G-R-A-Y. A looks good. I kind of wish it was a little bit larger. I'm going to stick with the gray. You guys can use any color you want to. Like if I did yellow. I don't really like that. I can't really think of anything else that would look good with red other than black or gray. So I'm going to stick with gray. So my box shadow is gray. And that's all we do on that one. 18.2, super easy. We type in one word. One word. Let me make this one a little bit larger for those of you at the back. So on this one, go to your image, go to your box shadow line of code where you had 4 pixel, colon, and go in front of that colon and just type a color. Any color you want it to be, but I think it has to be something other than black. I don't think we could put black in there and it still work. I just wouldn't want anybody to lose a point because of that. All right, I'm going to check that. It said that 18.2 is complete. Anybody that's doing this with me, do you need another second? Okay. 18.3. All right. This lesson, you're using blur and spread. Okay. The best way to do this, I think if we go to box shadow, I don't really see a blur and a spread on here. I was thinking we could look at some examples in the reference guide, but I don't really see it. So we'll just see it on the one that we're going to do. Okay, because oh wow, looks like we're going to do a lot. We've got 6 different examples to use a blur and a spread. Okay, now in the previous assignment we did, we only had 3 values for our box shadow. Okay, we had the amount of color to the right or left, to the top or the bottom, the color, and then now it's showing us over here in the example. The 4th value is the blur, and the spread is, wait a minute, no. The 3rd one, I'm sorry. The 3rd one is the blur. 4th one is the spread, and then colors at the end. I'm sorry, I had those in the wrong, I was calling the wrong number, okay? So before gray, we're going to add 2 numbers. First is the blur, second is the spread. And let's look and see what we get with each one of them, okay? So it says to see how these 4 numbers work together, change your box shadow numbers to the following values. Now we're going to keep our color at the very end. So let me make this a little bit larger and show you what we're going to do, okay? So I'm going to keep my gray on my box shadow. I'm not ever going to change that. I'm going to be changing these 2 numbers to 4 numbers, okay? And I'm just going to copy them from over here and put them in, and we'll see what they do, okay? So the first one, I'm going to click on this, and it copied that to the clipboard. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to take those 2 numbers away. So I'm deleting those 2 numbers. If I can make it large again so you can see. So now all I have is box shadow gray. So the 4 values, let me paste them in, Control V. I need a space there. Let's see what did we get with that. Okay. So 0 would be what's to the right or left. 0 would be the top or the bottom. 0 would be the blur. 10 pixel would be the spread. Let's see this again. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, so that's what the first one looks like. Okay, let's go see what the second one looks like. The second one, 0, 0, 10, 0. So I'm going to click that. This won't be as difficult on you guys' computer because y'all don't have to keep moving it back and forth. All right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to delete those 4 values. Ooh, I like that effect. Okay, so that effect is 0 for the top bottom, left and right, 10 for the blur, and 0 for the spread. Okay, so I like, that's my favorite one so far. And that just has a little bit of blur all the way around the image. Okay, so I like that one. Okay, let's go to the third one. We're going to copy this one. Now this one has a blur and a spread. Let's see what this one does. I'm going to change out these 4 numbers. Ooh, I like that one. Okay. So that one, we still have that 10 pixel blur, but we have a 5 pixel spread. So that one, it just makes the blur, it makes us have more of a blur. Okay, so I like that one. What are we on, the 4th one now? Or is that the one we just did? Oh, so this, okay, yeah, this one has some more on the top and the bottom. Okay, so that 3rd number is going to be different on this one. So let's just. Okay, so because it's a positive number, that 10, you'll see that you've got more shadowing down here at the bottom. Okay, still have 0 on the left and right, so don't really have very much on the left and right. And because it's positive, we have more on the bottom, not anything up there on the top. All right. Now we're on this one. So this one has a -5 for the spread. So let's see what it looks like. Let's see what a negative does to the spread. Oh, well, you don't really see anything. Still see that little bit on the bottom. That's because we got a 10 pixel bottom. Nah, I don't like that one. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you like that one. And then number 4 says, set the 4 numbers to any pixel that you like. Which one did I like? I think I liked this one. I like the one that was the larger spread of the blur. Yeah, I like that one. So find one that you like and just leave it there. And I think that's all we have to do on that one. That was a lot, but that's it. So find one that you like, leave it there, check it, and you're good to go. All right? Those of you that are still with me, I hope you are really with me. Otherwise, you're going to have to either do this on your own or wait till I post the video later on today. Okay? Anybody that's doing it with me need to wait a minute. All right, 18.4. All right, text shadow property. Now, we've just been shadowing our image, but like I said, you can do the same thing on your text. Usually, it's only done on your headings. Usually, just your main heading, your level 1 heading. You can do it on the on other ones. Like here, I think they have it just, oh yeah, just the photopia, I guess is how you pronounce it. I can see the shading around the letters there. So I think we're going to just do the H1. All right, so text shadow property. We can also add shadows to text using the text shadow property. Text shadow is set using the same values as the box shadow, except the spread or size value is not used. So the most we're going to have is three numbers and then our color at the end. Okay, so we'll have the blur, but not the spread. All right, the following code creates a 5 pixel light blue shadow shifted right and down 3 pixels. Now make sure you understand how to use that language. They'll say shifted to the right and shifted down. So remember the one that shifts it right or left, that's the first number. The one that shifts it up or down, top or bottom, that's the second number. The third one is the blur, and then the 4th value is the color. Okay? So it says add a shadow to the business name that is shifted 1 pixel right. So this first number here would be a 1 pixel. Then it's 1 pixel down. So the second one would be 1 pixel. and then has a blur of 4 pixels. So this would be 4 pixels. And then you can use any color you like. Okay. All right. So I'm going to copy this one just to get my format. And then, like I said, the 3 will be changed to a 1, this 3 a 1, and the 5 pixel is 4. But you need to know where they got those numbers from, because on the quizzes that you guys will take as soon as we finish 16 through 20, you're going to be given examples, and then it's going to say match it up with the correct line of code. So you need to know, what these numbers do. And as I said before, you can always come back to this lesson and get a refresher. So I'm going to copy this whole line of code and to the business name. So that's our H1. So let me go over here to our code and find our H1 rule. There's my H1 rule. Starts with text shadow. So I'm going to put it at the very end. All right. So I'm pasting the one that's there. Now you can see my Adventure Air Sports. Okay. That's the way it looks, but we've got to change these numbers or it's going to mark it wrong. But this is what a 3 pixel shifted right, shifted down, a blur of 5 pixels in light blue was showing. Actually, that blue kind of looks good. I think I'm going to go back and use gray, but that blue really kind of looks nice. All right, so the first, let me get this to where you guys can see it. Okay, so that first shifted right is going to be changed to 1 pixel. Shifted top or bottom, it's going to be bottom because it's a positive number, 1. The blur is a 4, and I'm going to change my color to gray. Let's go see what that looks like. If I like the blue better, I might change it. I actually kind of like the blue better, but I think I like the blue better because it was a lot bigger. This is only a shift of 1 and 1, a 4 blur, and the color. So I mean, it is very, very minimal on my Adventure Air Sports. I mean, you can barely see it. I don't even know if you guys can see it in the back of the room, but there's a little bit of shading. Okay, I can kind of see it. Actually, if I stand back from it, I can actually see it better than close up to the board. But I'm going to stick with the gray because I use the gray down here for my pictures. But you can use any color that you want. I think that's the only, that's the only thing we do on that. So how'd that work for you, those of you that are doing that with me? Did you get it? Does it show around your text? Okay. I see some heads. And some of y'all, I'm worried that you are not working on HTML. I know some of you are behind me. I do realize that some of you are watching the videos and you're working on the ones we did on Friday. What was that, 16 to 17.3? But I hope that you guys are working on coding, not watching a movie or playing a game. Okay, please don't waste the class time. Okay. All right, so I'm going to check that. It says that I'm correct. I'm ready to go on to 18.5. All right. Comma-separated list of shadows. Now here, they're going to be adding all kinds of colors, multiple shadows. It gets a little bit much, okay? But I think they're going to give us all the values. So if you look down here, what we're going to be doing, those are just multiple shadowing on, they kind of stack the shadows on our text, okay? Now it says with box shadow and text shadow, we can actually add more than one shadow. We do this by making a comma separated list of shadow values. Because remember, look at this text shadow here. That's got four values for text shadow. The other one that we did, the box shadow, it can have 5. So that's a lot of value. So between each set of values, you're going to put a comma if you want to have multiple colors. So it says, in other words, we can write more than one set of shadow values, put commas in between. So kind of here in the example, they show you how you do that. So if you want to use a text shadow, that has two colors. So this one has red and cyan. So there's my first set of values. Then there's a comma. And then after that was the second set of values here. Okay. All right. So down here, what we're going to do, it says try setting the text shadow for your heading to these values. So that's the H1 that we just did. Okay. So instead of me just having the gray, I can have multiple colors of shadows. And I can have one going one way and one going the other way. So I can have one color on the right and the bottom by using positive numbers, okay? Or I can have another color on the left and the top. So you can get really, really fancy with your design. So let's try out the first one. So I'm going to go over here and copy it. I don't want you guys trying to type all of this. Click over here on all of these, because look at number 3. I don't even know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 different values. So don't try to type that. Click on the box and it will copy it to the clipboard, and then you can just put it over here. Okay, so I got the first one. So let's get rid of that. I'm going to paste in. Okay, so that is red and cyan. Cyan is like a blue color. So if you look at my Adventure Air, I've got 2 colors of shading in there now on my text. Okay, so that's the first one. We can kind of go through these kind of fast. The second one, I'm just going to click there, and it copies all of that to the clipboard. So I'm going to go, oh, you know what? I forgot my semicolon. Still works. I left off my semicolon. Okay, so let's get rid of this one. I'm gonna leave my semicolon on there. And then I'm gonna paste in the second example. Oh wow, that's all kind of colors in there. I got white, yellow, orange, and red. Cool. Okay, that's what it gives me here on the Adventure Air Sports on my page. That's adding white, yellow, orange, and red as text shadows. Okay, notice I've got some numbers in there positive, some numbers negative. So some things are on the top and the bottom, some things are on the left and the right. So pretty cool. All right, now this third one, we got 6 different colors in there. So I'm going to click here to copy it. I'm going to click here to get rid of everything. Just paste that. I just think that just makes it hard to read to me. I don't really like that. I could do with the second one. But that one's a bit much. Now, number 4 says use any value you like that uses at least 2 shadows. So you can take the time to make up your own colors, or you can just choose either 1, 2, or 3, because each one of them uses 3 colors. I actually kind of like that second one. I think I'm going to go use it. That's kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to choose the second one. You can choose anything you like. You can go back to the first one and copy it, but maybe you don't want red and cyan. Maybe you want purple and pink, or, you know, whatever colors you want. I'll give you a minute to get that done. And then once you land on whatever colors you want, whatever design you want, click check. And then we will be ready to move on to 19. So that's good. So we will be able to finish tomorrow. Okay. We'll do as many of 19 as we can, and then we'll finish up tomorrow. Anybody still typing that's doing this with me? You're not seeing what? It's not? Which one are you using? Number 1? Huh? Yeah. So you use this one right here. Have you got the colon there? I took my colon off a while ago, and that's why mine didn't show. Huh? Yeah, type it back in there and it should show. Because that's the same mistake I made the first time I did it. Is it showing now? Still not. Semicolon, the one that's the dot and the little comma up under it. Well, it has, the second number is a 0. Change both of those second numbers from 0, change it to maybe like a 2 pixel. Oh, I had my first one was 5. It should show. I don't know why it wouldn't be showing. What colors are you using? And you don't see any shade of that? See if you can check it and get it a check right. Huh? It's marking it wrong? It says any colors that you like. So yeah, I would use their, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe you have to use those numbers and then just change the color. Because mine marked, when I checked mine, and I never changed any colors. I used their code and just kind of, it marked mine right. So maybe if you use their format and just change the colors and then check it. Okay, so let's move on to 19.1 and we'll try to do a couple of these and then we'll call it a day. We'll finish the rest of it tomorrow. Okay, here you're going to learn how to add a background image. Now, when they say background images, they really just mean textures, okay? In lesson 11, and we did this back in lesson 11, where you set the page's background color using the background color property. In this lesson, you're going to use the background image property to add a background image. Because last time I think you did it using HTML. This time we're going to use CSS, okay? All right, so the background on the example page is set by adding the following code to the CSS rule for the HTML tag. So let's go up here and find our HTML tag. I feel like something changed on this. I feel like some of my code is missing, but okay. But anyway, I have my my HTML because I don't have that body anymore. You know, well, no, there it is. I do. Okay. All right. So my mistake. All right. So let's find our HTML. And we are going to add this line of code in there. And then we're going to kind of change some things up. So right here in our example, right here where I'm kind of circling with my cursor, click on that to copy it. And then we are going to paste that in our HTML. Do we leave the background color there? It doesn't tell us to get rid of color. So I'm going to keep that color there. And I'm going to paste that in. Oh, yeah, you need to, yeah, the color. I guess if I had changed that, I could make it any color with this pattern. Okay. So I've got a white, and then number 4 is the texture that I'm choosing, but you can change that to all kind of background images, okay? But before we do that, let's look at this property and understand the parts of it. So background image is the property name, and URL is This is, well, I think they're gonna always give it to us. I don't think they're ever gonna let us go out and find our own background image. I think they're gonna always give it to us, and then we can change the number to get some different variations. Okay. So let's go look and see what else we have. So let's go see what 1 is. There's 1, that's way too busy. 2, 3. I actually like the 4th one. It's a little bit distracting, but it's kind of cool in a way. I wish it wasn't. I think we'll learn how to make them transparent by adding an A. So I think I would like that one if it wasn't so distracting. Let's see what's 5. I don't see much of anything on that one. 6, 7. It said there's 24. I'm not going to sit here to take the time to go through all of them. Ooh, I kind of like that one. We'll keep it that for right now. So I've got white 9. Okay. All right. It says there's 24 background images inside the textures folder. So this is the image inside the textures folder, inside the images on Code Avengers website. Okay. You may want to set the font color in the HTML rule to another color if it's hard to read, but mine's not. Mine, the font color that I have on there, I can read everything fine, so I'm going to stick with that. Okay, so I'm going to check that. Okay, I did not do something. There are 24 background images inside the textures. Try a few of them and choose your favorite. But I thought I did do that, because I went all the way up to 9. Why is that marking that wrong? Set the background image on your page to the same as the example page. I did that. There's 24 background images inside the texture folder. Try a few of them and choose your favorite. I did. Yes. Oh, so it's not just changing the number, change the color too. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So let's copy that. So I would just change this part. I thought we only had to change the numbers. Oh, I should have just done those. Let me just type it. Dark1.jpg. Oh, so it's completely different. I don't like the dark ones. I like the white ones. Well, let's try one of the color ones just because it says do several. So color 1 to color 8. Color 1. Ooh, that's pretty. But again, you see how some of them are just so busy. I kind of want to go back to the white ones. I really like the white 4. That's a little, it's just a little bit distracting. Let me see if I put an A in there. Huh. It's too transparent. Let me just go back to the 9 then. Oh, there's only 8. There's 8 each. That's how they get to 24. Okay. So you can only go up to number 8. When I try to do 9, that's when it got rid of it. So I guess I'll just stick with that one. Okay. I think that's why it was marking it wrong, because I had a 9 in there. So let's check it. So again, I lost the point, not you guys. So those of you that are doing that with me. Okay. And thank you very much, Kaylee, for helping me out on that one. Yeah. I think you have to use the word color. I think up right here where you've got background color, that actually sets the color. White, dark, and color. I think you have to have that word. You can't change the word color because those are already pre-created background textures in Code Avengers website. So if you want to change the color, McKinley, go on the line above it where it says background color and change that color. Here, see if that'll change the color. I think the ones that Code Avengers gave us, I think they're already pre-done. I don't think we can change them. White, color, or dark. Yeah, I know. But it is 24 options because there's 8. There's 8 in white, 8 in dark, 8 in color. So That's 24 total. And that's why I tell you guys, always read down here what's in the tips. Because lots of times there's things down there that you have to do. Did you find one, McKinley, that you liked? Not really, but it'll work. Okay, yeah, mine's a little bit too heavy, but I'm going to stick with that one. Okay, so 19.2. All right, so, and this is what I tried to do a while ago. I think it's because I had the 9 on there. Okay, so this one, transparent background images. The textures folder has semi-transparent versions of the 24 images. These are PNGs rather than JPEGs. That's why it didn't work when I put the A in, because I left it a JPEG. So if you're going to make it transparent, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So this part right here, white4.jpg, you know how I think my texture is a little bit too dark or too busy? So if I change the 4 to 4A and I change the JPEG to PNG, it should make it a more transparent texture. So McKinley, you might like, if you change yours to transparent, you might like it too, okay? So if we look down here, see where right here, white 4A, and you have to change the JPEG to a PNG. So it says, change your background image to a semi-transparent background image. All right. So I think I'll probably like mine a lot better when I do it this way. So let's keep it big so we can see both. Oh, so I'm on the example page, not my page. My goodness, my page. Okay, so there's my page. And there's my background image. So let's get it over so I can see both. Okay. So I'm going to change the 4 to 4A. Nothing happens at that point. It actually goes away because there's no 4A JPEG. But if I change the JPEG to PNG, it might be a little bit transparent, but not a whole lot. It is a little bit. Okay, good. Okay. All right, so again, you got to put an A by your number, and you have to change the JPEG to PNG. If you don't change the JPEG to PNG, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to have any background image at all. Okay. All righty, so let's see. We're going to check that. It's going to tell me we're right. And I tell you what, we're going to stop there today. Okay. So tomorrow we'll do 19.3 to 20.5, and we'll be through with these 5 lessons. Okay. We should be able to get that many because today we did 17.4 to 19.2. So we got a lot done. So we should be able to get that much done tomorrow. Okay. All right, so I'm going to